Break on this 10th day of March 2025, and I'm with Senator John Methu, Mheshimiwa Robert Mbui, Mheshimiwa Nelson Koech, and Senator Eddie Okech. We're having a conversation about what is inside the deal between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, and you see that some of the highlights include that the two leaders and the two political parties, ODM and UDA, committed to full implementation of the NADCO report, inclusivity in all spheres of public life, protecting and strengthening devolution, and so many others that we'll be touching on. But first, let's hear what the President and the former Prime Minister had to say.
I want you to be treated well. And I will do whatever it takes to make sure that you have respect in Kenya.
Mara hii tutatembea pamoja. Tumesema tunataka kuunganisha Wakenya wote wawe kama kitu kimoja, ili vijana waweze kupata ajira kwa mkataba ya kuleta ulewano, ya kuleta amani, ya kupigana na maadui ya Wakenya wote.
Leo ni ile siku ya kumalizana na ukabila, kumalizana na chuki, kuondoa ubaguzi.
All right, the declarations made at the steps of the KICC and earlier on in the meeting that was inside the halls. Senator Okech, let me begin with you on this one, especially the declaration, tunamalizana na ukabila na all the other ills, the vices that are spoken about since the independence of this country. How come this is again one more declaration? What has been stopping the government, and in this case, I mean Parliament included, from stopping it?
Some just 40 seconds to chime in into this issue of committees, because I think it's a very important one. There is a time in 2007 that President Kibaki won an election. And when he won an election, he had less numbers in Parliament. So that means that, although it was the executive, it was difficult to be able to figure out whether these standing committees would be in the executive or minority. And I think that we do have party positions, because belonging to a political party is okay. Our standing orders are crafted on the basis of recognizing that there's political parties. For instance, if you look at our standing orders, or standing order number 24, recognizes the majority leadership and the whips, and it states that they will be communicating decision of the party or of the both side of the minority to the speaker, and then the speaker will be announcing those positions. He has got no any other variation of those positions, meaning that the place of political parties is guaranteed. And there is nothing wrong when in political parties, the political parties, actually this is the addition of just the president or Raila Molo Odinga as the leader of the political party, but it's a party position sometimes taken after PGs or consultation of central committees on who is supposed to sit where, depending on expression of interest.
And sometimes not involving the deputy minority leader?
Sometimes, yes, not, because in some parties, deputy minority leader is not a member of the central committee of the party. Like in our case, most central committee of the party, the central committee of the party organ sometimes makes decision about party decisions, because I've told you that...
Does it go well for you that the deputy minority leader is sitting next to you? He has no idea about this concession that have been made by the leader of minority party. Maybe
there's a strained relationship between the deputy party leader.
Matter, really?
It matters because that's what I'm trying to express, that maybe there's a strained relationship between the minority party leader of the National Assembly and the minority leader of the National Assembly, and not personal, but one that could be political, because, for instance, the party leader of, because this is a coalition, the party leader of the minority party, or Nabukalonzo Musyoka, is already on the road trying to figure out how to capture power in 2027 and is in coalition with other people to do that, while the minority leader in the coalition, who is a member of ODM, is busy trying to figure out how Kenyans get services right now, right? So there is a there is a
yes.
no.
Sorry, I mean,
I'm just telling you. By the way, I'm just being deductive. I'm just being deductive because the way National Assembly runs.
Just wait, Senator Okech. The reason why Robert Mbui is sitting next to you doesn't know what's happening within the minority party is because Kalonzo Musyoka is looking to be president in 2027.
because Wiper and ODM have got different priorities right now as political parties. The Wiper Party.
Why not
the
Wiper Party from that position?
The Wiper Party
and have an ODM minority leader.
There are a lot of contentions in the National Assembly which are not actually in the Senate, including with the majority party right now, after the court decision. And I cannot speak for them because I think that in Senate we are moving so smoothly. Because, for instance, Wambua, who is a member of his political party, and he's also the deputy minority leader in the Senate, is acclaimed and is informed and supported me when I was vying for vice chair of what we call SIPO. It is Wambua who supported me, who is a leader in Wiper. And Kavindu Mudhama, senator, the honorable senator from Machakos, was also placed in that committee without a lot of shenanigans, right? So there could be some challenges in the committee of CPIC. And actually we vied against
vice chair now?
No, I'm vice chair, yes. And it was contested, which is not true, as Matthew is saying. Yeah. Honorable Kavindu contested it. Honorable Tobiko from the majority side contested it. And I was on the ballot, and I won it.
Oh, all right.
So that is very important, not to misrepresent facts, because some members express themselves why they want to be in those committees and communicate to the party. For instance, me, just give me 30 seconds, because this is very important for Kenyans to understand.
Just for 40.
So you interjected. So for instance, me, I expressed myself some that I wanted to be in transport committee because I had mapped out what is going on in the country right now, where we have got 175 billion worth of pending bills in the infrastructure sector and roads, and we have got an RMLF that needs to be restructured to be able to bring about a road bond that can be able to help the government deal with this backlog. Yeah. We have got 39 billion sum that has not been paid
so
to
you
people
to be chair.
Who are affected by... Yes, I asked. I asked to be chair based on the fact that I could be able to contribute to think...
Without that, you're not able to?
Without my ask.
Without being chair, you're not able to make a contribution on...
Most certainly, my contribution will be limited.
Okay.
But contribution I could be able to make.
All right.
But you have asked about this pact. I think that the deal between the president and Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is one of the most important things that's happened for us in the country. And you have talked particularly about this question about inclusivity. Mm-hmm. It is true. And we know that any time that we go to an election, our country is always organized around tribal numbers. And because of those tribal numbers, if 2 or 3 tribes end up winning an election, what ends up happening, because of what we're discussing here as a political problem of political parties, interest being coming in, is that most people then who end up in position of governance, whether it's PSS, CSS, factually, directors, end up coming from 1 or 2 tribes that have won that election. This is a fact.
Whose fault is that?
It's not anyone's fault. It's just a fault of our organization of a country on a tribal basis of politics.
What do you mean?
And we need to detribalize.
Appointments?
The appointments are made by whoever wins the election, like the president. But also,
does anything stop him from appointing people from across the country? Political
interest stops him. Or it becomes very difficult, and that's why we see a lot of political bickering and fights. You can see in the eyes of Matthew. He came into parliament as a very good young man, very brilliant, very happy, smiling all the time. Right now you can see him. He looks sad, he looks dejected, he looks unkempt. The reason being, he feels bitter that the person that he came with as deputy president is no longer in power, and sometimes the previous used to enjoy. And his own was said that he was elected as a chair on the basis of that tribal politics and tribal interest.
It is Senator Matthew who stopped the president from making appointments from across the country.
It is his interest and vested interest that put pressure on the president.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Mbui, is that so? So now we're going to see fair representation in appointments?
I don't know, but I'm very happy. I've realized my colleague here is a comedian. He's made me laugh all through. Some of the times I'm just laughing on the inside because, I mean, even when he starts pointing at Senator Methu and saying he's sad, but Senator Methu is actually just concerned about the things that he's saying. Now, two things. One, you've heard the talk that, this new arrangement is killing tribalism. And I'm very surprised because when you see Kalonzo Musyoka speaking to maybe Rigathi Gachagua and speaking to somebody like Wamalwa Eugene and maybe Onyonka, who says he represents Matiang'i, then that's called a tribal grouping. But when you see Raila Amolo Odinga speaking to William Samoei Ruto, now that is called unity. But when you look at the 10-point agenda that was raised there, because I want to believe this is some kind of coalition, preparing Ruto's path into possibly winning the next election, and I will tell them that it will not happen. Now, the reality is this. That
what will not happen?
I do not see Ruto winning in 2027 because, I mean, whatever is happening now is not going to add any value to him. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the 10-point agenda that was raised, you just need to read the Constitution. Every one of those is in the Constitution. They just did a summary of the Constitution, picked a few things, put them there to make it look and sound very nice, and then tell Kenyans, now suddenly things are happening. I heard the president, you know what he said? He says, now, my brother Raila, you're going to be treated well. Who has been mistreating Raila? It is not Wiper, it is not DAPK, it is UDA. It is people like Nelson Koech and his ilk that have been insulting Raila for the last 10, 15 years. So suddenly now, Ruto, who has been insulting Raila, says now you'll be treated well. Treated well by who? The reality is that this is just games for the next elections, and I would love to have advised my leader because I'm still in Azimio. Raila was my candidate. I supported him in 2013, 2017, 2022. I'm one of those few people that can say I almost lost my life in support of Raila Amolo Odinga because my leg up to now, I walk with a pin on my leg from my knee to my ankle. Up to now, I have a metal in my leg because of following Raila. When I was being killed, I was 3-4 cars behind Raila Amolo Odinga near Uhuru Park. Now, this is a person I have believed in. So even now, I still believe in him. I don't know what has happened, and I think maybe he'll come to his senses and probably tell us what is really going on. Because at the end of the day, I suspect that this is a scheme by Ruto to prepare himself for 2027. He wanted to silence the opposition. Remember what he said at the beginning? He says, I want a strong opposition. The first thing he did is start buying members from our parties. Now he's going for our leaders. He's taking our leaders to become part of him. How then are we going to have an oversight? How then are we going to ensure that the things that he promised Kenyans are going to be achieved? I don't think it will happen better when we are with him. It happens better when we are telling him from outside that we are unhappy about what you're doing. The standing orders are very clear that if you're going to be a chair of a committee of oversight, then you have to be from the party that does not form government. How is it possible that a member of ODM today is a chair of an oversight committee and ODM and UDA are in an MOU which they have agreed to work together? For all intents and purposes, ODM now is part of government. There are members of ODM who are in the executive. Yeah. Now, members of ODM are chairing committees of the majority side, which is part of government. How then do you oversight yourself? I think we need to become honest with ourselves and make certain very hard decisions. Right. If you want to choose to go to the majority, to the executive, just do the whole hog. Go there and work from there. But you cannot have one foot in the minority, one foot in the majority, and then you're saying you're bringing people together. You don't need to bring the majority and the minority together. That decision was made by Kenyans. And the next election, there will still be a majority and there will still be a minority. So that's not something that we need to sort out. Let's just follow the Constitution. It gives solutions to all the things that were said in KICC.
Right, and I hope Mheshimiwa Koech will be helping us respond to some of those questions about how oversight will happen in the House. But let's first listen to what the two leaders said in as far as what this arrangement is.
The memorandum we have signed today does not define the formation of a political coalition between ODM and UDA. However, its successful implementation could inform the basis of steps toward the establishment of a broadly constitutive and progressive formation for a stable country in future.
This memorandum of understanding is not about sharing positions or winning elections. It is about the people and the interests of Kenya.
It is about the interest and the people of Kenya. So, Mheshimiwa Koech, why is it so difficult to just form a coalition of the two parties?
You know, when
and call it so?
My last show with you, I was here, and I told you, after Raila Odinga lost the AUC chairmanship, I was in this show with you, and I told you that that relationship that was born out of that working together for AUC chairmanship was going to morph into something much better. And I told you to watch the space on what was going to happen. Truly, it came to pass, and you know, this MOU was signed. Mm-hmm. Sam, let me tell you, and listening to Mbui, I just want to build a narrative so that you understand where we have come from as a country and where we are. During post-colonialism, mm-hmm. Kadu and Kanu did join together. Moi worked his way because those were the ones who were in the minority. And by 1967, Moi had worked his way up to be the vice president, joining Kadu, and subsequently, after the demise of Jomo Kenyatta, forming government. Successive governments have had a way that they have worked together. And when opposition realized in 1992 and 1997 that it was very difficult for them to work, to win an election against Moi in the groups they had, mm-hmm. because the parties at that time were almost regional, they decided to form together. In 2002, that is why you had NAC winning the election. NAC actually, and no one should tell you that the handshake has only been Raila and Raila and Raila. That was a handshake that was done by Moi and Kadu at that time. We came to NAC. NAC was a joining of forces of so many people that sent Moi home. Raila was part of it. After 2002 general election, in 2007, in the second term of Kibaki, it is Kalonzo who went for the handshake with the katikati narrative that he used at that time, and being given a position of the vice president and the minister of Home Affairs. Today, Kalonzo is against Raila Odinga, joining another side. Let me still come. In 2013, after the election, because after the election of 2013 and Uhuru and William Ruto winning, there was no kind of a pact. But in 2015, when the list of shame was brought to Parliament and some ministers asked to exit, the first person to join that government was Eugene Wamalwa. He had a handshake and gave support to the president of that time, you know, and he was given a ministry of water, led all the way beyond that. In 2017 general election, Kalonzo Musyoka joined with the same team and worked together. This is the point that I want to give.
How did he join?
Kalonzo had Raila Odinga and the other teams also just trying to compete against the presidency competing against William Ruto. I am just trying to tell you that in Kenya...
No. You said that 2007 election, after the election, Kalonzo Musyoka joined Mwai Kibaki as vice president.
Yes.
What was the arrangement then?
It was an MOU. It was a handshake.
No, it was a coalition, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was a handshake. What is the difference? Why is it when it is Raila, it is handshake, and when it is other people, it's coalition?
It was a coalition because they called it a coalition.
Yes, but he was the first one to jump in.
Raila Odinga has said this is not a coalition.
Let me tell you, when the country was flaming, when the country was fighting, Kalonzo Musyoka was negotiating a deal.
Which is fine. I mean, that's...
Can I borrow your minute?
Sorry, Senator Okech, wait. Honorable Koech.
I just want you to understand.
Can I borrow a minute?
No, wait, Senator. You had your time. Honorable Koech. Yeah. So, a coalition between Wiper and PNU that time.
Yes.
And Kalonzo became vice president.
The vice president.
Unless I'm mistaken in the fact.
And the Minister of Home Affairs.
This time round, it's an MOU working.
You know, you can't be short. I'm just trying to bring you to understand what I'm saying. I'm just trying to explain to you that in Kenya, because if you look at the arrangement that is happening right now, these two, William Ruto and Raila Odinga, had 92% of the votes that were cast in 2022 general election. So in my view, first of all, we should laud them. That for once, and severally, they have decided that let us forget about our positions. Let us forget about where we've come from. We were fierce critics of each other just 2.5 years ago. Today, we are joining because of the country. You must remember, Sam.
So that joining, what are you calling it?
I'm calling it a cooperation.
So what is that in law?
Has called it that if it's going to work, I mean, it can get better. But
yeah,
for now,
that is very clear. We had him saying that. The question I'm asking you, what is this in law?
It's just a memorandum of understanding. There's absolutely nothing in law that...
Now, political parties are managed under the Constitution and the Political Parties Act.
Yes.
So where do you place that?
You can agree to work with any formation.
For the sake of oversight and accountability...
There is absolutely no problem with oversight. As a member of parliament...
Honorable Koech,
if you allow me...
Hear the question.
Sam. Yes.
Hear the question, then you can respond. For the sake of accountability and taking responsibility, everything that is being done needs to fall under certain law, isn't it? Because political parties manage politics for the country, essentially public affairs, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So for Kenyans to ask questions, where do they trace these working arrangements in the law?
Let me tell you, Sam, you have to know the system of governance that we have in this country. My role as a member of parliament, even though I'm elected from a party that is ruling, I am supposed to oversight. It does not stop me from oversight. That is why in parliament...
I think you're missing the question I'm asking. I'm not asking about oversight in the National Assembly.
What are you asking about?
I'm asking about accountability of the political parties to Kenyans, not parliament.
Political parties are accountable to Kenyans. The first rule...
So where do you place that working cooperation, whatever the name is, where do you place it in law?
All political parties serve the people of this country. The interest number one of every political party is to make sure that this country is stable. That is number one. Number two is development of our people and resources equitably being shared across. In Raila Odinga sitting with William Samoei Ruto, it is bringing the synergy that both will bring and the force that they both have.
And there's no problem in that.
Stabilizing the country.
There's no problem in that. Okay, Mheshimiwa Koech, do you have an answer?
I have given you an answer. You won't allow me to explain.
I'm asking you...
What is your question, Sam? I'll explain it to you.
The question is...
And I want you to listen.
The question is as follows.
Yeah?
So you have a cooperation... Sorry, what is the name again?
MOU.
An MOU.
A cooperation between President Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga. Yes. And I think what you're struggling with, Sam...
Sorry, I just want to hear...
No, but what you're struggling with...
Let me frame the question.
If you allow me 1 minute. Because I also want to help this debate be progressive.
Sorry, Senator.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Koech, so that cooperation, where do you locate it in the Political Parties Act and in the Constitution that manages political parties?
Let me tell you, Sam, it's not about Constitution or how it works. These are two individuals that have decided to work together. It is not, a president has said before, it is not the first time. They had a similar arrangement with Uhuru Kenyatta. There was a similar arrangement with Kibaki. There is absolutely nothing wrong with working together with William Samoei Ruto.
So it's not about the laws, it's not about the Constitution.
That is why I went back as early as 1967 to make you understand that...
Pre-2010 Constitution, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Senator Methu...
Did he agree first? You left me hanging. I didn't even complete.
You've given me your answer.
So I was telling you, sir.
You've given me your answer that it's not about the laws, it's not about the Constitution, it's about the two individuals, isn't it? That's what you said.
Absolutely.
Good.
It's not about the two individuals, it's about the two individuals and their support base.
I had him, Honorable Koech. Senator Methu, so help us here on how exactly this is going to work, and looking ahead, is there even an issue now if you're to get into the House on how matters of the nation will be managed?
Now, let me say this. The reason why Honorable Koech is struggling, and he keeps struggling.
I am not struggling.
I mean, he could not even understand the question. I wish he went further to tell us. When he says that there was a handshake between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, what his leader, our party leader, William Ruto, said about it is a mongrel that you cannot understand who is in government and who is in opposition. That is why he's struggling himself to actually say this. And it is also not a factual fact for him to say that since William Ruto had 92%, had his percentage, and Raila Odinga had his percentage, so their combined percentage now is 92%. You also need to appreciate that their deputies came with the votes towards that particular basket. Kalonzo Musyoka is no longer in that arrangement. William Ruto himself, 47% of his votes came from a certain region who had given their candidate as running mate. That running mate is no longer there. So it is not a fact that they both have 92%. But let me now build my own argument. What I was saying is, when both leaders came out of that meeting and the clip that you played here, and they said that we want to now, this day, in fact, William Ruto said, hii ndio ile siku ya kumaliza ukabila. Hii ndio ile siku ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Na hii ndio ile siku ya kuondoa ubaguzi. Maybe you would want to put that statement to check, understand whether he's actually right. Because I am strongly opined, Sam, the most tribal leader that I have ever seen in my life would be William Ruto. I'll tell you why. If you just come to committees of parliament that you've spoken about, all committees in the Senate were disbanded, all of them. So we had to reconstitute them again. So if we were to check on whether it's tribal, we have all agreed that the person who nominates people to be chairman of committees will be the president. We have almost built a consensus around that. Jackson Mandago is from Uasin Gishu. He was a chairman committee on health. He has been retained. Julius Murgo from Rift Valley. Julius Murgo is a senator for West Pokot. He was a chairman committee on labor. He has been retained. Hilary Sigei is a senator from Bomet. He was chairman committee on justice. He is from Rift Valley. He has been retained.
Who retained him?
You just allow me to speak. Okay. You shall have your time. You can ask whatever questions. We have built consensus that the president is the one that gives people positions at the party. I know you want to disrupt my mind because you know where I'm going to. I mean, all these people from Rift Valley, nobody from Rift Valley was in any committee and has left and has lost their committee, including Samson Cherargei, whom I was serving with at the committee of the Public Accounts Committee. Now, so that we bring in...
Is he still vice chair there?
No, he's not vice chair. In fact, I also tell you that story later because I was a member of that committee of how he became vice chair. But more importantly, Nelson Koech here will become a chairman.
Sorry, just before you carry on, you said every other senator from the Rift Valley has retained their position.
Okay, let us say
Samson Cherargei was vice chair.
He has lost his position. I concede he has lost his position. But now, the man who is fighting tribalism, John Medu, senator for Nyandarua, chairman committee on lands, lost his position, has gone to Munyaji Faki. Karungo Dhangwa, senator from Kiambu, in Mount Kenya, lost the chairmanship of the Committee on Transport, he went to Eddie Okech. The Senate chairmanship of the Committee of Energy, initially held by Senator William Wahome Matinga, who became a commissioner, has gone to Senator Oginga Odinga from Siaya. Senator Joe Nyoto, a senator from Ranga in Mount Kenya, lost his position. It went to Senator Montet so that we end tribalism. Senator James Kamau Murango from Kirinyaga lost his chairmanship of the Committee of Agriculture. It went to David Wakoli. We shall go on. We shall go on. The punch on a specific community is the one that would make me actually believe that William Ruto is a tribal.
What are you saying? Senator, sorry.
There is fact here.
Do you think, just hold on, Senator.
But allow this fact to go, Sam.
I'll give you a chance. You spoke in silence, honestly.
I mean, we should be given time.
Senator Methu, did you expect to continue chairing the committee you were chairing?
That's why I'm coming in. So
Sam, you're losing a very important
You shall get your time made.
Because debate is good when it goes factual.
But the debate, the person who's running this show cannot be yourself.
No, it's very important. It's very important.
It is not important.
He has said that the Senator Joe Nyoto, who is from the mountain, lost, because he's trying to profile him as a Kikuyu from the mountain, lost his seat to Betty Montet. Tell us, Betty Montet, is she not a Kikuyu? He has said,
I want you to tell me whether
No,
it's
but you know,
but anyway, that
I want us to go through because he's doing wrong profiling, and that tribal profiling is a wrong one.
You know, Senator,
because he's suggesting that all the seats that have been taken have gone to one tribe, but it's not true. Wakoli is from Western, Paki is from Coast. In any case,
Senator, that's okay.
In any case, that shows that there's more integration.
Yes. We continue. Please
just seek all the facts. It's very important.
Let's not get into the business of profiling people.
But his profiling is saying that it's one tribe that has been. He's saying that one tribe,
or not.
They have, but the way he has framed it is that they have been tribally punished
get a chance,
and given one tribe, which is not true.
You'll get a chance to make a response. Please allow him to finish his point. And Senator Methu, so
just seek facts.
I was asking you the question. You know the political positions you've taken the past few months.
Yes.
Did you expect to continue leading?
No, I didn't expect. And that's why I'm coming in. I was coming in.
So for the party leader to make the actions that he made, is he wrong or right?
He is wrong and right. Right, because I am no longer in his praise and worship choir. So it will be fair for me to be removed as the chairman. But since we have still people from our region who are in his choir, why would he not pick one and put him in that particular
who are those?
committee? Sorry?
Who are those?
Senator Veronica Maina is from our region. Senator George Bugo is from our region. Senator Alexander Munyi Mundigi is from our region. Why would he not pick on any of them? Senator Karen Nyamu is from our region. All those are in the choir of William Ruto. He would have picked on any. But I was not profiling the conversation.
I think Sam, we are losing a country. We are losing a country. If you allow this kind of debate in your...
why you are the one who is moderating this debate.
But
if it was...
But you can't...
That is disrespectful.
No, not even the choir. This tribal conversation must stop in this country.
Okay, so Senator Methu, tell me...
You're speaking to the...
What is that choir?
This is
tribal.
Some local station.
Senator Koech. Sorry, Mheshimiwa Koech.
This is a serious...
Mheshimiwa Koech, please hold your cool.
Tribal
Senator Methu, what is that choir?
Okay, let me rephrase it. The individuals that I've mentioned are in the language, or they speak the language of President William Ruto. Maybe to make it easier for you, I was not invited for the parliamentary group. Senator Newt was not invited for the parliamentary group. Senator Morango was not invited for the parliamentary group. Senator Karungo was not invited. Senator Kinyo was not invited. And all of us who do not seem to agree with President William Ruto.
How are people invited to PGs?
It's a message.
It's a message.
It's a message to the group, sir. It was lying. It is in the group.
Please.
First, you have to keep your cool.
Senator Methu, a message.
I'm a member of the parliamentary group called Kenya Kwanza.
Yeah.
That message was not posted there. It is always posted there. Every time that I have ever been invited in a parliamentary group, and I can give you my phone, I have not changed my phone since I became a member of parliament. Bonnie Harode writes a message to me. I never got that message.
Straight to you.
In fact, let me tell you, and I'm not lying, I was asking in our other group, was there a PG today? But more importantly, those who attended that particular parliamentary group from our region, I want to then believe that those are the people that President William Ruto actually feels and thinks that they are working together. And I didn't say that these seats are being removed from one region and taken to another region. I'm only saying that this punch by President William Ruto is on a very, very specific region. If I was to even further this
but is it specific to people that have fallen out with him and his policies?
Then if you say that it is people who have fallen out with him, it will be then that you want to imply that the region has fallen out with him.
No. I mean, you chair a committee as an individual, or do you chair as Nyandaro?
No. Okay, then to say, if it is a specific person, then my argument would be, why not take another person from the same region who actually agrees with you?
Why?
Where region means?
Why?
Where region means is where Eddie started. You said, no. Where region means for the national conversation, we have to have people from everywhere so that people feel represented. May I say this, Sam? When the Kenya Kwanza government was formed, there were many ministers who were brought from many other places, and as it would be, maybe the sharing formula of how government will be shared, President is a Karenjin, the Deputy President is a Karenjin, the Minister for Interior is from Mount Kenya, the Minister for Treasury is from Mount Kenya, the Attorney General is from Mount Kenya. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And as Senator Eddie correctly put it, that especially the regions that vote for that particular coalition, they reap big. Yeah. It's a matter of fact.
It's a fact.
Many people from our region got...
So let me get this right. What committee were you chairing again?
I was chairing Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources.
So you were elected to chair that committee because of the region you come?
For regional balance, you see...
Sorry, in 2022, were you appointed to that... were you elected to that position because of the region you come from?
Two things. One, because I was a member of that particular... I'm a member of the UDA party. And number two, because I come from that particular region. In distribution of committees, all of us have said, including the gentleman here, you have to look for regional balance.
Okay.
So how is it that from all the five...
Was there regional balance that time? In constitution of those committees and the chairmanship?
Out of the nature of our architecture of our standing orders, there was no way we would have anybody from Nyanza region because the majority of the members of the party or of the committees are from a specific coalition.
Was there a problem then?
I will not say there was a problem. Because that is a law.
Okay.
Sam.
Yes, I want us to listen to what the leaders from the opposition said. Then we can get to the conversation again.
They probably thought that only certain people can lead demonstrations. They also thought that only certain people can lead the opposition. We wanted to know the opposition from today against Kenya Kwanza administration and their stealing lot will face serious opposition from the people.
We have chosen deliberately and with clear minds where we stand from today. Those who have left the opposition to join Zakayo's government, history is a harsh judge, and may history judge them.
Leaders from the opposition side, Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa, are reflecting on the decision of Friday at the steps of the KICC. And Senator Nyoto, so one of the key... Senator, okay, sorry, I don't know why I'm talking about Nyoto. Inclusivity in all spheres of public life. Yes. And all Kenyans are equal and all are entitled to an equitable budgetary resource allocation and opportunities in public appointments. What does this mean moving forward?
Sam, there is a conversation we can have as members of different political parties. But there are conversations that we also have as individual leaders responsible for their own individual choices. I expect that of my brother Methu, my brother Koech, the wonderful leader of minority. Are you still minority leader? Deputy minority leader, and myself, okay? Because this issue of tribal organization and inclusion in government is a serious one. And you asked Senator Methu a very serious question that I wish that you extended. You asked him, were you comfortable with the arrangement that was happening where there was no regional balance at the time of 2022 after election that was happening in Parliament? Could you have extended that question to executive as well? Because we saw an executive where in one region, there was almost 51% of one region represented in all spheres of government. And that's not just on the cabinet side, but also on departmental positions and parastatals in this country. I believe as a young person that this country belongs to the Kikuyus, this country belongs to the Kalenjin, this country belongs to the Luos, this country belongs to the coastal people, to the people of the Kamba, in all equal measure. And I can tell you for a fact that my work here is not to defend President Ruto, right? My work here is to fight for a little bit of the soul of the country that remains together.
51% of positions came from?
Sorry?
You said the composition of government, 51%?
Yeah, I mean, like, look at what happened if you do a total summation of PSS and ministers in cabinet.
Yep.
They all came from one region.
How many PSS do you have?
At that time, I'm talking about 2022. We had about 50 PSS at that time.
51?
Yes. 51
so how many
PSS.
came from what region?
So we had from Central alone, we had about 17 of them. okay? And then we had 50-50 cabinet between what you'll call then the faction of Munyoro and President Ruto. So if you add one region...
So 17 out of 51, what percentage is that?
No, I'm talking about PSS, okay? Plus the cabinet secretaries.
No, let's stick with PSS first.
Yes.
You've said 17, and this is your claim. It's not necessarily factual. Yes. 17 out of 51 came from what Kenya region?
Yes.
No, sorry, you said some central Kenya.
The entire central Kenya.
What is central Kenya?
The central Kenya is the block that Methu is talking about, the mountain region that
So central Kenya is Kirinyaga,
there's Kiambu,
Buranga,
there's Buranga, there's Nyeri, then there's Meru as well.
Meru is not in central Kenya.
It is.
It's not. It's in Mount Kenya region.
I said the mountain region, because that's the language that is used.
Mount Kenya
the mountain region. Yes.
So you're saying 17 out of 51 were from that region?
Yes.
What percentage is that?
Out of 51, that brings you about 33%.
33%.
Yes.
And CSs out of 22 cabinet secretaries, how many
came? We had how many CS?
8. Actually, almost 10.
Almost what? It's an absolute number.
It was not almost.
It was 8.
8.
Yeah.
So 8 out of 22, what percentage
and 8
is that?
is inclusive of that one.
That's about 40%.
48%.
48%?
Yes.
Yeah. That's your answer?
Yes.
Okay, carry on. You were saying that...
You see, so if you can look at it...
You said 50%.
And then I told you...
For arithmetics, 8 out of 22 is 36% specifically. Maybe these guys didn't do very well in mathematics.
No, there's
36%.
There's what?
Yeah, then you add the two.
There's the secretary also to the cabinet, but I do not want to...
but Sam,
I do not want to
it's defeatist even to think about, even to think about one region having 8 CSS. And even now...
How many should they have?
It's not about how many should they have.
How many counties in Mount Kenya?
If I was the president of this country today, and I've got 22 CSS to appoint, I'll appoint one per all the regions of Kenya. So at least one from all regions. You have asked me what they should have.
Because now you have an MOU, right?
Yes.
So Mount Kenya region has about, is it 10 or 11 counties? I think if to include Nakuru, that would be 11?
Yes. There will be 12, including
12 if you include Nakuru. Yes. If you exclude it, that's 11.
Yes.
So how many appointments should come from a region of 11 counties?
It's not about just looking at them, but looking at other regions as well. Like that's what we call the exclusive conversation.
No.
That is bedeviling this country.
We're talking about, because you faulted that you're saying
we have got more. If you are to go the way there is what I call ethnic organization in this country, we have got up to 42 ethnic organizations.
And
if you get
and counties.
It doesn't matter counties. It matters the ethnic conversations, because the resources in this country, ever since independence, and we cannot run away from this. This is why it's so difficult for people to understand this MOU, because we cannot run from the fact that people have organized themselves along tribal lines and calculating tribal numbers. Wamunyoro was there yesterday talking about Gamer community, which is ethnic conversation. So my answer is this. My answer is very simple. Is very simple. You've seen when there was conversation about experts who joined the government, and our party was consulted on who was supposed to be given. How possible could even think about Turkana having a cabinet secretary? But they have to. It's not about a small community in a small region. We want to see every single community being involved in government, and I think
you've made your point.
Yes.
Let's hear from Honorable Robert Mbui.
Why are you so uncomfortable with my contribution, Sam?
You've been speaking for so long.
No, I haven't. I mean, compared to the time, if you go back to your data and look at the time that we have had with the others to contribute, you have been cutting me all the time.
Senator Okech,
that is not a fact.
Mheshimiwa Mbui, so resolving inclusivity in all spheres of public life, how can, I don't know who now, is it the government of Kenya, is it Raila Odinga and President William Ruto? How do you resolve that question? And he raises important questions about regional representation at national appointments, but also in other public offices. How do you resolve that?
No, Sam, first and foremost, when I listen to the discussion here, well, it's unfortunate when you go that way, but it's also fair to note that, even the Constitution recognizes that we all come from a family, a community, a region, and that's why Article 10 is very clear about regional balance. I mean, these things that when you're distributing slots, you have to do regional balance. It's one of the principles of good governance. It's also important to note that sometimes as you're dealing with these things, you also have to look at the population quota. I mean, the more people, the more then they would be represented. Because if you're 50% of the country, would expect you get 50% of the slots and 50% of the resources. So basically, I think this is a thing that has already been addressed in our constitution. Issues of inclusivity are in Article 27 and Article 10. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these things that we are talking about and a lot of the things that our leaders are saying that they are trying to solve are actually already in the Constitution. So the solutions are already provided. Mm-hmm. What we need to maybe ask ourselves is what was the motivation? Because I don't believe it's about now we've now seen the light and now we want to deal with issues of devolution, we want to deal with leadership, we want to now deal with the issue of picketing. For the first time now, when you sign a document in KICC, you now agree that Article 37 of the Constitution should be respected. I don't believe that. I want to imagine, mm-hmm. and this is a reality, that this relationship started immediately after the youth of this country said enough is enough. And the youth got out to the streets and they brought the country to a standstill. Mm-hmm. Even impeached Parliament in essence, because they actually came to desecrated the House of Parliament, because they came in and chased members of Parliament from that house. I think when that happened is when political leaders decided that we need to find a solution to this problem. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, whatever is happening continues to anger them. I would like that as we are doing our MOUs and our cooperations, we go back to what was it that made the youth go to the streets, because then that would be actually solving the problem. They went to the streets and they said they had their demands. They said taxation is too much. And they told us as Parliament, you cannot keep overtaxing our parents. It still continues being a problem up to date because the taxation levels have never been reduced. The housing levy is still there. It's still hurting our people. The youth now, to get an ID card, they have to pay. If you lose an ID card, you have to have 1,000 shillings. So already the problems of taxation and cost of living are still a problem to them. The issues of unemployment haven't been resolved. The issue of politicking in church, they talked about it. They said, keep out of churches. In fact, they occupied churches and they said, we don't want politicians to use the pulpit to campaign. Unfortunately, it's still going on. I'm happy with the headline in the Standard that says, in fact, the word they've used is arrogance, pulpit arrogance, that you can actually be told. The Bible says that what you give with your right hand, the left should not know. And therefore, if you go to church, just go and give, because we are giving to God. Even what is in the pocket that you've not removed, He can see. But you want to announce that you're giving big amounts so that you can entice the people. That even goes against the Elections Act of 2011. Clause 64 is very clear. It's about bribery. That anything you do that is supposed to influence a donation or a gift that is supposed to influence the voter to maybe vote in your favor is illegal. But that is still going on. So I think what we needed to have done is listen to the youth and do what they asked us. If we did that, we would not even be signing these agreements. But I'm still concerned. How will Parliament work from now going forward? Mm-hmm. Because, for all intents and purposes, the minute you sign an MOU, a cooperation, an agreement to work together, it means that if I am in that party that has signed with the ruling party, then therefore the ruling party and I become part of the same thing. Now, the standing orders are clear. For you to chair an oversight committee, you have to come from a party that is not forming government. And that, Sam, is a problem that ODM is facing. That is why they will never allow this to be called a coalition, because they will continue holding on to positions of oversight. They will chair PAC, they will chair PIC, they will chair all those committees of oversight. At the same time, they will be in the executive. I mean, talk of doublespeak. I think Kenyan politics needs to be cleaned up, and I think it's important for leaders to take their rightful positions. If you feel that you want to belong to the majority, go to the majority.
You're not able to do anything in the House yourself.
We will do our bit. We still remain the party not forming government. We are not in any coalition arrangement with anyone in government. We will still oversight them. But you see, Sam, if the chair of the committee is already from that other side, then they'll suppress. Because remember, the chairs, just like the speaker, they have the say of who speaks and who does what. So you will be facing difficulty in oversighting even from within the committees. That is what I am seeing. And we will do our bit. We will not give up. We will still do our bit. We will still try to oversight. We will still make noise where we can. We will still tell Kenyans the truth. But unfortunately, the spirit of the standing orders has been desecrated and disrespected by this kind of arrangement.
Okay. Now, Mheshimiwa Koech, because out of that list of 51 PSs that Senator Okech is talking about here, I think about 26 came from both Mount Kenya and Rift Valley region, which is more than 50%. And the person who made those appointments is known, clearly. It is the president, isn't it?
You know...
Why do you need... Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
It's a statement of fact. He's the one who made the appointments. How do you correct something that has been committed by one of the cooperation agreement signatories by bringing on board someone else? So how does that work? Isn't there about taking responsibility for the actions that have been taken? Because if there is ethnicity in appointments, they have been done by the government of the day.
Some elections in Kenya is a matter of life and death. Why is it so? It's because of resources. And it is because people believe that those in power are able then to skew resources towards where the regions that they come from.
Is it true?
That injustice, it is true. That has happened.
It is true that those in power can skew?
That has happened either deliberately or inadvertently. And that is why you see certain regions,
What do you mean, inadvertently?
Let me just finish. Yeah. I said either deliberately or inadvertently in the process of leadership, you don't notice. You must remember that this country has only had presidents from two communities, that is the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu community. You will then expect that most of resources are skewed towards those regions. To balance it out, and that is why there's a lot of concern that today, and a happiness, that today, for the first time in the history of this country, you have a Minister of Finance from Luo Nyanza. Today, for the first time in the history of our republic, you have the Attorney General coming from Luo Nyanza. Today, for the first time in the history of our country, we had deceased Major General not Major General, the late General of the Defense Forces coming from the Luo region. Somehow, it is making Luos also believe that they are part of this country, even though they are a big community and they have been working towards the democratization of our republic. That is the scenario that as a country we want. We want to onboard.
How important is that to citizens?
We want to onboard as many communities as possible in government. Let them feel that they're part.
How important is that to Kenyans?
It is important. The face of the country, the face of our republic should be the face of our country. So every community that is in Kenya must be represented on the table. That is why people are fighting for resources. That is why people want to form government. So what Honorable Raila Odinga is saying and what William Samoei Ruto is saying, from 2022, we have left the politics of regions, the tribal politics.
Isn't that the same thing we were told in the campaigns of 2022?
That's what I'm saying. We want to now onboard everyone so that everyone feels...
Who is everyone? I mean, Honorable Koech, you were in this country in 2022. You were promised the same by both the campaign of Raila Odinga
and the campaign. That for the first time in the history of our country.
Just hold on. Please listen to the question. Whatever you're saying was said by the campaign of Raila Odinga. It was said by the campaign of William Ruto. 2.5 years later, it is still being said by the two leaders now working together. I mean, when does talking stop and actualize?
Sam, it is a work in progress. This is, after independence, we are a country of more than 60 years of age. Okay? Inequalities have happened. There are mistakes that have happened that must be corrected. Some of those mistakes have been captured, like Honorable Mbui is saying, in the Constitution. Some of them must be deliberate with them. And that is why, as a country, we are saying we have come to where we are today. Sam, you know, many times I get the feeling that probably William Ruto should have been a president of another country. People don't seem to understand where we come from. If you look at our neighbors today, if you look at DRC Congo, if you look at what is happening in Ethiopia, if you look at what is happening in our neighboring, in Somalia, if you look at what is happening in Sudan, then you must realize that as a country, it is a time that we must be together. Any challenges that we might have, any difference political that we might have, it is time to put them aside and come together as a nation. What happened last June should be a pointer of what could happen anytime. And that is why we must congratulate when leaders come together. And we are not saying we are locking anyone out. We are saying let Kalonzo, if he's willing to join and work with us. In the last, the attack in Parliament, what was it? It was in last year. Gen Z attack on Parliament. That should indicate that, you know, as a country, we are working on a time bomb.
So,
and it is important.
So that this cooperation is to resolve what happened in June.
I'm just saying general, and I'm saying it is a build-up to making, not resolving the problem. The Gen Z problem is different, but for leaders coming together to find solutions.
How can you say it's different?
I am saying for leaders coming together to find solutions for the problems of the young people and the problem of the country is a scope. It is important for every leader of this country. Because at the end of the day, Sam, we live in this country.
And the solutions
this is our country. For me to work with Medhu and Bui, it is perfectly okay.
And the solutions
the solution is to make sure that everyone is onboarded. Let us agree. And like yesterday, ODM party chairman, Professor Nyong'o, did make a statement and say even Honorable Kalonzo is welcome to join and be part of this people. Because at the end of the day,
I hear you. You're saying a lot of things, but just expounding what the problem is. I don't hear solutions from you. You just said that we came from a problem in June last year.
I said it's a work in progress.
The coming together.
I cannot.
You can. The coming together of Raila Odinga and William Ruto, how does it resolve the concerns raised by the Gen Z?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, you need stability of the country. Then, because the problem of Gen Z is employment. It is resources. It is people having money in their pocket. How then do we stabilize the country? If you stabilize the country,
unstable?
Consequently, there's what you feel as stable and there's stability. If today,
the problem you're saying is people don't have resources in their pockets.
People don't have resources.
And the solution is to stabilize the country.
When you stabilize the country, you stabilize the economy. Resources
is that so?
Yes, we are able to. Let me tell you, you don't know the effect of mandamanos. It is not as easy as people think. It is very expensive.
So
for those people, you knew I was here when mandamanos were happening. We lost more than 1.3 billion every single day when there are demonstrations. That tells you the impact on our economy. Now, when leaders have joined together to work towards making sure that the people of this country are able to get services and get resources in their pockets, Sam, we should laud such efforts. Okay. That is exactly what
Senator Methu, I want you to close, but there's something that Mheshimiwa Koech said. We'll get back to it if we have time. I want us to close on the way forward from here, with all the challenges that have been enumerated here on the bench.
And maybe first I want to agree with the Honorable Koech to an extent that William Ruto should be a president of another country. Maybe I think the people of Kenya would get some reprieve if he was a president of another country.
Surely. You sold William Ruto to your regime.
Yes, and I have asked for forgiveness. I keep asking for forgiveness. I don't know how I mean, people forgive me for ever saying that William Ruto is a good man. But more importantly, I just want to say just a small thing. There was a man who went to hospital and he told the doctor, "Doctor, I am in pain. Every part of my body is in pain. When I touch my head, it is in pain. When I touch my chest, it is in pain. When I touch my nose, it is in pain. When I touch my leg, it is in pain. When I touch my hand, it is in pain." So when he was taken to the doctor's consultation room and the doctor diagnosed that patient, he told him, "Your body is not in pain. You have a broken finger. It is a finger that is in pain." So William Ruto is in pain. The whole body is paining. Or the country is in pain. But the finger that is in pain is William Ruto. It's not the whole country and what
pain is he in?
That's why I'm coming in. So when we say that of the 10 things that were agreed upon in the cooperation between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, one of the things that we want to stop is opulence. How would that cooperation want to stop opulence? Opulence, what is opulence, Sam, if it is not mocking the people who you lead? Why were there demonstrations yesterday at Roysambu? Because he said that after we bring Raila Odinga and William Ruto together, we shall never have demonstrations again. They have already come together and we had demonstrations yesterday at Roysambu. Why was there a demonstration? I mean, you shall define it the way you want. You're the chairman committee on intelligence and you can do anything that you want to the young people. I mean, you actually believe that once you hide behind the police, you are very powerful. And it has been proven to you by the young people in June that the police are nothing. They are fewer than the people of Kenya. So opulence is you make the people of Kenya feel angry because you are dishing out money. It's not bad to donate in church. In fact, I'm a Christian. And what the Bible says is that what the right hand gives, the left hand should not know. So, but you come in sacks of money. I am giving you 20 million. People feel very, very angry about it. They even go to the street about it.
Senator, but the president gave in your region. You didn't complain.
I didn't complain, and it does not make it right. It does not make it right at all.
You were quiet.
I was quiet, and I am very sorry because it is too wrong. It does not make it right now that he gave it in my region. And but more importantly is the people are out there. They are angry about this opulence. But what does the president say? You can do what you want. He still gives another 20 million in another church. So all these 10 issues that have been written here, inclusivity, who makes appointments in this country? That you require a cooperation to now do inclusivity. When you talk about corruption, how does Honorable Mbuye or Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka or even Honorable Raila Odinga or even these people from the opposition, how do they come in? I mean, how do they?
How can you say these people from the opposition? They have names, don't they?
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I cannot name all of them. But maybe finally, just the very final thought. When Rigathi Gachagua was being, and Honorable Kwachi is saying that you want everybody. And he actually forgets that in October last year, he voted to remove somebody of the people that they want everybody now to come on board. But more importantly, when Rigathi Gachagua was being pushed out of government, remember, he was being called a tribalist. But he said that I am defending my community from a punch that is coming from President William Ruto. How true is not that statement? Because after he left, most of these people, I've told you, they have been removed from government. One position that we had as a region is the position of the Minister for Interior. We no longer have it. We have the position of the Attorney General.
We have lost
Labour. What are you saying? Labour is a small thing. But Interior, we lost the Attorney General. We lost National Treasury. Can you imagine?
Sam, let me correct that. As a Kalenjin community, we only have 2 cabinet secretaries. They against their own community, 8 cabinet secretaries. Don't even go there. But you shouldn't go there.
But you actually know some that...
Sorry, Senator Matthew, we're out of time. I want us to take a look at the feedback that has come to us. Citizen TV, Kenya Sam Gituku, the hashtag to use is Citizen Daybreak. Deshmo, you're saying that the sycophancy of these politicians is blinding them to the fact that Kenya is sitting on a time bomb. The unemployment and rampant theft of public resources is strangling the economy to its knees. The chickens will come home to roost. Frank Orinde, you're saying that Raila Ruto MOU is a clear attempt by Kenya Kwanza administration to gain political stability. It has been difficult for them, Kenya Kwanza, to govern, especially now that all their policies are backfiring. They should be informed that should things not work, Raila will walk out. John Tay, you're saying, let us not play blind games here. We all know that presidential election in Kenya is done on tribal lines due to numbers. The parliamentary committee heads are chosen to attain regional balance. So Methu Muhia is right. Frank Orinde, again, with the nature of politics and how government business is running in parliament, there's no way rebel MPs and senators can continue leading parliamentary committees. I mean, whose business will they be championing? Yet they no longer believe in their own party leader. Janelle Lazaro, for a nation to grow, it must have vibrant opposition for check and balance, not necessarily Raila. Raila has done his part in opposition for a decade. Now let him pass the torch of bitter struggle to Kalonzo and Mbuye. Kama watawezana. Okay, as Nicholas is saying, it is hypocritical for Ruto and Raila to purport the handshake is for the benefit of Kenyans. Never. The now monotonous handshake is for the benefit of Raila and ODM politicians. Kenyans are united in suffering. The pact is for... okay, we're going there now. Remy Botia, by bridging the divide between 2 prominent political figures, the Ruto-Raila MOU has the potential to reduce polarization, promote national cohesion, and create a collaborative environment for addressing pressing issues.
That's brilliant.
Now, Mheshimiwa Koech said that The Gen Z demonstrations needed stability. Now we'll not necessarily have demonstrations. Let me just remind you, number 6 of the MOU talks about the right to peaceful assembly and protest, and Article 37, and compensation of all pending claims of abuse and derogation of this right. It's a commitment signed by the two leaders.
Picketing is not destruction.
Demonstrations, yes. Protests is within the Constitution.
But they must not be violent.
All right. Thank you so much, Senator John Methu, Mheshimiwa Nelson Koech, Mheshimiwa Robert Mbui, Senator Eddie Oketch, for making time for us to have this conversation. Up next is Sporty Monday. See you tomorrow. My name is Sam Gituku. Bye for now.